Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Eating the Elephant, where we talk about Hurricane Michael insurance information and recovery tips. And the reason we call this Eating the Elephant, for those of you that haven't seen this in a while, is because recovery from this hurricane is an elephant. It's a monster, and the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So we're trying to address it as best we can in bite-sized portions so you can get through this with the best results. I realize that everybody's had some difficulty in varying degrees. Some of us have come through this pretty well. Some of us haven't done so well. But what we're trying to do in this series on the web is to get you where you need to be. At the end of the day, regardless of the level of difficulty, you have somewhere you need to be. And that place is as near as it can be to where you were before the storm. So what we're going to try to do is help you get there with as little pain as possible. Got several things to get on with tonight, and some are insurance matters and some are just general management issues. The first thing I want to say is I'm seeing some issues in my office now with people coming back in and sort of doing follow-up, and we gave some really specific advice early on in this series, in the first maybe 5 or 6 episodes of Eating the Elephant, about keeping good records. And what I'm concerned about and what I'm beginning to see is that folks maybe aren't keeping as close a tabs on the payments that they're making and the payments they're receiving from insurance companies. And I want to remind everybody how important that is so you can make sure that you get every dime that you're entitled to. I have not seen insurance companies sticking it to people, as you'll often hear in the media, because of course when it bleeds, it leads. And a lot of people like to sensationalize what happens with insurance companies. But I will say that I think homeowners have a tendency to leave money on the table. And I think you can prevent this by keeping good records. And what I'm going to recommend to you again is to, early on in the process, what I suggested is use a single credit card for all of your hurricane expenses. And you could keep track of things like hotel bills and gas and things that you buy. What I might suggest to you now, as you're getting into the recovery process really well and you're building things and you're dealing with maybe multiple contractors, maybe multiple places where you're getting furniture and other household items, if you can, take your insurance payments, all of the payments that you get, and push them into a separate new bank account and spend money out of that bank account for those same purposes. Because what you might have a tendency to do without realizing it is spending your insurance money on things that are not insurance related. And you may come up at the end of the day a little bit short. Later in this series, as we get a little bit further down the road, we're going to talk to you about going back to your claim after it's closed and sort of recapping and making sure that you're getting all that you're entitled to and that you're not leaving things unpaid. So what I would say to you is, let's go back to some of the basics, and let's please remember you need to keep very good records, not so much for the insurance company anymore, but for yourself, so you don't stick it to yourself. I would like to say something else as we get there. I introduced our elephant last week from Pat Futrell, and we still don't have a good nickname. I think this needs a clever nickname, and I would encourage you, if you will, to send me something. I have passed off the responsibility for deciding what a good nickname would be to someone else, because I think I'm just a little too close to this process. But if you can send me an email or shoot something to us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, I think it'd be great, because having an elephant without a name is, I'm sorry, there's something wrong about that. Getting back to some of the insurance issues and some of the issues I think you're dealing with as homeowners, we've learned about something. This is something that Pat Sabison turned me on to, and it's what I'm going to call the tarp scam. And since she's pointed it out, we've seen 3 or 4 more instances of it. And what it is you'll get a bill from a company for tarping services. They're probably someone that you've never heard of. They're just sort of throwing things at the wall. And what they're doing is it's nothing more than a scam attempt. They send you a bill for tarping your house, and chances are you've never heard of them. They never did any work for you or anything like that. And what you need to do with that is, first of all, verify it. If your house needed to be tarped, then you need to talk to your insurance company and make sure they didn't pay for something or request something directly, and that you didn't engage someone. And if it seems funky to you, then what you need to do is, first of all, do not respond to these people. They're con artists, they're thieves, and you need to avoid them. You don't need to respond. You need to just go invisible. You need to ghost them, because any response you get to them is almost like answering a telemarketer. Now they know you're there, and now they know you have questions, and so you become an increased, you become a bigger target. I want to give you a couple of phone numbers here, and we're going to put these on our Facebook page. But if you receive a bill from someone for services you are absolutely certain you did not receive, it's possible it's a mistake. It's more likely it's a scam. And what I want you to do, particularly for licensed contractors, call the Department of Business and Professional Regulation if it's something regarding roofing or something such as that. And that number is 850-487-1395. And for folks that are elderly, if you're a little bit older, or if you're sort of helping your parents or grandparents deal with something like this, the Department of Elder Affairs is helpful because seniors have increased protections in the state of Florida. So you want to call the Department of Elder Affairs at 800-963-5337. Again, we'll post these on our Facebook page so you'll have them. And the other place you want to call if you feel like you're being scammed and you're concerned is the Department of Financial Services Fraud Hotline. The folks at the Department of Financial Services have been very effective in identifying fraud and trying to snuff it out as best they can, but they need to know. They need to know what's happening, and chances are if you make a call on someone, it's not the first call they've gotten on that particular person, and their number is 800-378-0445. Again, please do not engage people that bill you for services you did not receive, and call the numbers that I just gave you that I'm going to post on our Facebook page and report these people. You don't need to be victimized. You certainly aren't going to send them any money, but they need to be, the departments need to be alerted so they can put these people out of business and send them home. We don't know where they came from. We don't care. We just want them to go back where they came from and not be here in Northwest Florida and the Emerald Coast. I want to talk to you a little bit as well about handling contractors, because I think we've gotten past a good bit of the frustration with the insurance process, and people have educated themselves better. We've talked about educate, advocate, escalate, and mediate. But I think contractors now are the sort of point of the spear. What I want to say to you is there's just a certain number of people that can be here banging nails. And I realize people have gotten very, very frustrated with making appointments with contractors that don't show up. I want to give you a little bit of behind the curtain that I've been given by some contractors. And general contractors, as a rule, for small jobs, are going to be reluctant to return your calls and come do work for you. I've seen lots of posts on Facebook that people are in search of someone to come give them a line item estimate, an exactimate, or in a great deal of detail. And I just got to tell you, I think that's unrealistic. You might get the exception, but that's quite an investment of time. For a general contractor to come to your house that's significantly damaged and give you a good line item estimate, that's just really challenging. That's an investment of 2 or 3 hours of their day when they could be out actually banging nails, making money. And so it's not really a good investment of their time. So my suggestion to you, if you have a job that's, say, less than $20,000 or $25,000, is to do your very best to go out and find the trade contractors yourself. Someone that can do your soffit. That's a big issue. That's something that we've got here at our house as well. Drywall is certainly a pinch point right now because there's only a certain number of guys that can hang drywall and sheetrock. Painting and flooring will become a bigger and bigger issue as we move further down this path. But what I would suggest to you is you're going to have a very difficult time if you've got a $20,000 interior job calling a general contractor and getting them interested. The one exception is if you still haven't gotten a new roof. If you have a roof that still needs repair or more likely replacement, it's very likely you can leverage the profitability of that job for the roofer to having them do the interior work as well. If they can make $20,000 or $30,000 on your roof, and then they don't make as much on the interior work, let's think about this. This is a triage situation for contractors. And some people accuse them of being profiteering, but where would you go? If you're going to spend 10 hours on something, do you want to spend 10 hours doing something that makes you $400 an hour or $40 an hour? Contractors right now are going to go where it's the most profitable. So give some thought to what you're asking people to do. And if you're asking someone to come out and spend a good portion of their day just giving you an estimate, that may not be a realistic expectation. So please bear that in mind, that while I realize contractors are here to help us, they're here to make money, and yes, you're going to write them a check at some point, they need to go probably where the greatest profit is in the short term. So be realistic about what you're asking them to do. I would like to give you one other piece of information that you might find interesting. I'm seeing an awful lot of what I call late entry PAs. And when I say PA, I mean public adjuster. Public adjusters, I have found there are places for them to be very effective in this process. What I would also like to say is there are places they simply cannot help you at all. So if you've really wrestled with your insurance company and you're at this point and you've got serious damage with essentially little or no contact and little or no payment, that's probably a situation you need to bypass the public adjuster altogether and go directly to an attorney. If an insurance company has been so unreasonable that they have not been able to do anything for you, you've come a long way. We're more than 4 months out, and insurance companies no longer have any excuse for not paying you a significant amount of money. I think it's time to do not pass go, do not collect $200, go directly to the attorney's office. But the other thing is, I understand that people have gotten very, very frustrated with contractors and the time frame involved. And if you're at the point now where you've been reasonably cooperative with your insurance company, but now you can't find a contractor, that's not a problem that you need to call a public adjuster for. That's a problem that you're going to need to work yourself, and you're going to need to make an awful lot of effort toward getting the right contractor at your house. If you have some broken windows, some siding, some flooring that needs to be done, then get on the phone. Work the phones, work Facebook, work your personal network, and find the right people. And you may have to call 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 people to get the right person to your house. But this is a Prince Charming sort of scenario. You may have to kiss an awful lot of frogs to find the prince. So what I would suggest is you need to be getting to some frog kissing. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but I think that's the most realistic way to play offense and get the work done at your home that you need to have done. Your only other option, I think, that's viable is to wait, because obviously all of these people will get freed up, and then they will begin looking for work, and they will be more energetic about taking smaller jobs. But you have to realize that that time frame might be 3, 4, 6 months down the road. So if you have a roof and you're dry and you're willing to wait, that's fine. If not, then you're going to have to be proactive, and you're going to have to go with the advocate portion of our advice. And I'm going to close this evening again with 2 things. One is, please, let's think about our elephant again, if you have a good suggestion for what that name should be. But I want us to go back to our beginning. There's a 4-step process for your recovery that you need to stay with. Educate. Educate yourself by watching these videos, by doing your homework, doing your research. You need to advocate. You need to call your lender. You need to call your adjuster. You need to call your contractor. And you need to press forward, play offense, and advocate for yourself, because the person that is not on the phone calling someone and sitting back waiting for a phone call is not the person that's going to have success. You cannot expect people to reach out to you in the current situation. You have to reach out to them. The next thing you do is escalate. If you don't get the results you need to look for someone's boss, someone's supervisor, someone's boss's boss. You need to call your agent. You need to call, if you're dealing with a subcontractor, call the general contractor. The squeaky wheel is now getting the grease, and you need to be the squeaky wheel at this point. Everybody, I think most people that I've dealt with have been extraordinarily patient, even when they're frustrated. Now is not the time for patience. You need to press forward, keep your foot on the gas. And the final piece, of course, is to mediate. If you need to involve the Department of Insurance, that's fine. Well, they're there, and they're there for your benefit. You're prepaid, it's paid for by your tax dollars. So again, educate, advocate, escalate, and mediate. We're going to come back to you with what I'm going to call public adjuster math on Sunday and give you some education there and show you how it works. I hope you will have a good week. I wish you, we're getting into Mardi Gras season, so for those of you that are interested, laissez bon temps rouler. Laissez les bon temps rouler, I apologize. And I hope you have good success this week. We'll see you on Sunday.